Hi, I'm Dr. David Magnano. I'm a licensed chiropractor in the state of Florida. My clinic is Magnano Health Center. It's located in Clearwater, Florida on Gulf to Bay. And I'm here to talk to you today about what has been referred to as the silent killer. And the reason it's referred to that in that way is because in many cases somebody doesn't know this condition is going on. And while it's going on, it's causing the body to become sicker and more diseased and areas to degenerate, and the body's just not recovering and healing as it should. And over a period of time, the person's health will start to decline. Now, this can produce many different symptoms. It can cause headaches or pains in the body as far as neck pain, back pain, shoulder, arm, leg pain. It can cause problems with the digestive system, with the sinuses, allergy problems. It can cause somebody to not be able to sleep and feel rested, or not be able to sleep through the whole night. So many different symptoms are sort of the red flag that something is going on that's just not okay in the body. Now, this condition that I'm talking about is called a subluxation. Now, that's a fancy word. It's like a cousin word to a dislocation. It basically, the way I'm referring to it, it refers to the spinal bones. There's basically 24 spinal segments in the spine, each separated by a disc. And the most important aspect of the spine is that the brain sends all its energy and information down a cord called the spinal cord. And that spinal cord then sends nerve roots to different organs and areas and parts of the body. Now, the reason this is so important, if somebody has a subluxation, that actually means that the spinal bone is twisted out of position enough to put pressure on the spinal nerve root. Now, why is that important? Well, it's very important from a standpoint that, your heart actually receives information from an area in your brain that tells that organ how to work. The same thing happens with the lungs. The same thing happens with the sinuses. The same thing happens with the stomach, or the intestines and bladder and digestive system. So every organ and cell and gland in your body is basically controlled by the brain. And the only way the brain can talk to the different organs, cells, blood vessels, and glands in the body is by sending an electrical impulse and energy down through the spinal cord. It comes out through the spinal bones, and then it tells that organ how to work in its environment. Everybody's aware of this, right? You have somebody that has some sort of pinched nerve and their muscle goes weak, or they get arm numbness or hand numbness, or somebody like Christopher Reeves may have an injury to his neck and the spinal cord, and from that point down, nothing's working as it should. Now, it's very visible to see how the arms and the legs wouldn't work as they should, but what's not so visible is how the nerves have the responsibility of controlling and coordinating all the glands, the organs, the blood vessels, and the systems in the body. So when somebody gets a subluxation, and let's say somebody has a subluxation, at the base of their neck, of course it could affect the shoulders, arm, and hands, but it will always affect the area of the heart. So if we cut off the energy supply to that organ is going to start to dysfunction, and it's going to start to not work correctly. It's not going to recover from the stresses that it occurs every day. And then that organ is going to start to degenerate and become more and more diseased. And as that organ becomes weaker, then it creates an environment for somebody to develop heart disease. And you can see how that would. Now, we could treat just the heart and maybe handle blood pressure with medication or something like that, but all we're really doing in that situation is we're just trying to cover up or remove the symptom. We're not actually getting to the cause of the problem as to why that area is already starting to die somewhat. So, if somebody has a spinal subluxation, that means a bone out of place that will pinch or irritate a nerve, we know where that nerve travels and which organ is connected to that nerve. And therefore, that part of the body, that organ, is not going to be able to heal or recover or work as it should. So it actually starts to go downhill, it becomes diseased, and it actually starts to die a little bit at a time until it becomes such a weakened organ that some disease process can come in. And this is why this has been called the silent killer. Because the nervous system has the job and the responsibility of keeping our bodies healthy. Our bodies have an incredible ability to heal, but there is a system that's responsible for controlling and coordinating all of that, and that's the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerve roots. So whenever somebody has some symptoms, and they're usually functional type symptoms, they're not coming from germs or genetics, things of that nature, they don't feel that well, they feel run down, they're tired, they're not sleeping well, they're not able to digest their food, and they start minimizing what they're doing to try to avoid that symptom from getting worse. That doesn't really help. What would help in a situation like this, and obviously this is not the case for everybody, that's one of the reasons we do a specialized nerve test in our office to actually check and see how the nerves are working to the vital organs and glands and blood vessels. But if the nerves are shut down to an area, that area is going to start to die and it's going to become diseased, and we're going to have a problem there. And the symptom is the final phase of that. See, the degeneration and the dysfunction in the organ all occurs prior to somebody having symptoms. So what I recommend when anybody has some sort of symptoms, they're not feeling the way they should, or they have sort of a reoccurring problem, is I always recommend the specialized nerve test. It's a nerve test, it's a Titron infrared thermography test that takes about 10 or 12 minutes in our office. And if you call our office today or in the future, we'll be glad to run that test for you at no charge. It gives you a graph and it shows the nerves traveling to all the areas. And it's very interesting. Somebody that has sinus or allergy problems, we usually see some irritation on the nerves going to the mucous membranes of the sinus. Somebody has stomach problems, we usually see the nerves are irritated or shut down going to the stomach area. Somebody's have trouble with constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, we usually see some trouble going to the intestines. So once we run the nerve scan, we know which parts of the body are working as they should and therefore should not become diseased, because your body has an incredible ability to heal. But we also know which areas are not working as well as they should, and those are the areas that are going to lead to trouble at some point. So I just wanted to explain how that works. I thought it was an important point. We always explain that to people when they come into our office. And if you'd like to have that nerve test done, certainly call our office. We'll be glad to run it at no charge as an educational tool to see how your body is working and to see if we could help with your symptoms. Once again, my name's Dr. David Magnano. I'm a Clearwater chiropractor, and thanks for listening.